Most customers are easy to work with. However, there can be situations where a customer may become upset or even hostile. When this happens, it's important for you to know how to diffuse the situation before it escalates into something far worse. In most cases, even the most agitated customer won't pose a threat to your safety. However, if you become involved in a situation where you feel threatened, we need to know about it. And likewise, if you become aware of any situation that puts the safety of your coworkers or your customers in jeopardy, you should tell your manager. And if the threat is immediate, you may want to contact the police. Pay close attention to the guidance provided in this video. Verizon Wireless is committed to the safety and security of our employees. But remember, safety and security in the workplace begins with you.
Safety is everyone's responsibility. For our part, we'll continue to provide the support and assistance you need to keep your place of work as safe and secure as possible. But you have a role to play as well, especially when it comes to diffusing hostile situations. That's the subject of this training program. Please watch it carefully.
Like I said, if you're gonna... Can you hang on a second? Thank you for calling Verizon Wireless. Could you hold, please? Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, there's a series of things in here I could... Yeah. Sir, you know what? If, instead of using the phone, you should... If you get a pager, it's one of those... Oh... God. No, not you, sir. Can you hang on a second?
If you've read the clues, then you probably know what's going to happen next.
All right, that should do it.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks for coming by. And how can
I hope you're happy, because I have exactly 5 minutes left on my break, and I shouldn't even have to be here in the first place. You people have screwed me over from day one. I mean, if you cared half as much...
The question is, how would you respond? At Verizon Wireless, we stress the importance of customer service, but we also know that at times, customers can be rude, insulting, even hostile. Sometimes, dangerously hostile. How we respond in these situations is critical, not only in terms of providing service, but also in how we protect ourselves and our customers. That's why over the course of this 3-part series, we're going to cover several key points on dealing with hostile customers, from how to respond to customers who are merely upset, to how to recognize when a customer's anger makes them potentially dangerous. We'll also share some effective tips and techniques for diffusing that anger, starting with those customers who are frankly just plain angry.
And when I got my phone and I got your service, I specifically asked if you have a problem with dropped calls. I was told, no problem. But guess what? Not once, but 3 times.
Like this customer, the vast majority of customers who become upset aren't dangerous at all. They're simply frustrated over a service problem or expectation that hasn't been met. In fact, it's possible that their anger may really be a result of something completely unrelated to what brought them into your store. A bad day at the office, a problem at home. Regardless of how they became upset, nothing good can happen until they regain control of their emotions. And unless you have control over your own emotions, you won't be able to help. Of course, to be in control, it also helps if you know what's coming. And to do that, you have to read the clues. In this situation, the clues that told us the customer was upset were obvious from the moment she entered the store. Her facial expression, her eyes. Without saying a word, her body language was shouting the fact that she was extremely frustrated. Experts in aggressive behavior call this stage 1, which means the person has become emotionally anxious or upset, but hasn't yet demonstrated any verbal or physical aggression. Unless provoked, most people won't move beyond this stage. That's one reason it's important to develop an awareness of body language and recognize the clues of someone who is emotionally upset. If you see what's coming, you have a chance to prepare yourself emotionally. You'll also be far less likely to do anything that might provoke them or give them any reason to escalate the level of hostility. For example, allowing yourself to react to insults or meaningless accusations.
I was told that I get a credit for those dropped calls. Well, the next bill comes, no credit. I call again, same promise, but still no credit. I mean, what are you? Stupid?
Remember, no matter what they say, it isn't personal. Because more often than not, the customer isn't angry with you as an individual. The customer's angry with the company, a company that, at the moment, they see as unfair or incompetent. Unfortunately, at this moment, to this customer, you are that company. Of course, no one likes to be yelled at or insulted, but trading insults or showing the customer who really has the upper hand won't make the situation any better. In fact, it will only make things worse. Instead, keep reminding yourself that the customer's anger really isn't about you. You're not the problem. However, you can be a part of the solution. And that's the message you want to get across to the customer.
I'm sorry. It's just that every time I call, I either get put on hold or transferred or told that it's already being handled when clearly it isn't.
Well, I can certainly understand how frustrating that would be, and I'd be pretty upset myself. Now, you said you've called 3 times about this?
Exactly. And the worst part is that the first time I called, I was told...
In this scenario, notice how our customer service representative didn't try to move too quickly to solve the problem. In fact, he actually gave the customer another chance to complain, and there's a good reason. People who are angry need time to vent. They need someone to hear and acknowledge their anger before they can begin discussing their problem in a calm and rational manner. It's called empathetic listening, and if you're familiar with the term, you know that it involves more than just your ears. It's reflecting their feelings and rephrasing the reasons for those feelings. Here again, body language and nonverbal clues are important. In this case, your own. For example, standing with arms crossed high is usually interpreted as a sign of indifference, or perhaps even hostility, when instead the message you want to send is one of support and empathy. Leaning slightly forward, arms at waist level, and hands open with palms up, using an open expression and good eye contact are all clear signals that you have a genuine interest in what the customer is saying. Your tone and rate of speech can also have an impact. If you speak in a relaxed, friendly tone of voice, often the customer will begin to do the same, especially if you use that tone of voice to deliver what are known as empathetic statements.
Well, Miss Carter, I know you must be very upset because of the treatment you received, and I would like to correct this right now.
Well, I'd like that too, but I'm late enough as it is.
Then I can call you once you get back to your office. My name is Mark, and I'll make sure your account gets the right credit, and then I'll call you to your office.
And if it's not fixed by then?
I'll still call you and let you know what's going on. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Of course, not every encounter with a hostile customer is resolved this easily. But to bring the situation to a positive outcome, our customer service representative did use 3 very important techniques. 1, while he wasn't personally responsible for the customer's problem, he did make the solution personal by using her name and giving his own. Remember, one of the reasons customers become hostile is that they believe no one understands their problem. It's them against the company. By using empathetic statements, you can verify that you understand the customer's problem while validating their feelings. Our service representative also didn't assign blame. At this point, it doesn't matter to the customer who was at fault, only that someone is personally taking charge of resolving her problem. And pointing a finger at another person or department only further undermines the customer's confidence in our company. Finally, he was careful not to use any words or phrases that might cause a red flag to go up in the mind of the customer. The word "you" is a good example, as in, "I understand how you feel." To an angry customer, this is an open invitation to say, "No, you don't." That's why it's better to use phrases like, "I realize it can be upsetting when," or "I understand how frustrating that can be." Other red flag words include, "Our policy is," and "I can't." Telling the customer why you can't do something doesn't help. Instead, focus on what you can do. At this point, let's go back and look at our scenario one more time, because there's one other topic we need to cover: preventative action. Unfortunately, many of the customers that walk through our door angry and upset start as phone calls that are either mishandled or left on indefinite hold. Customers that call our stores deserve the same respect and courtesy as those we work with in person. Yes, there are times when stores are very busy. However, you do have options. For one, you can tell the customer that you're sorry you can't help them right away, but offer to call them back within a specific amount of time. And be sure to follow through as promised, or you'll only be adding to the customer's frustration. Of course, you can offer to transfer them to our customer service department, but if you do, stay on the line until you're sure the caller is getting the help they need. In our scenario, you may also recall that when our first customer entered, there was a sales rep who was available to help but chose not to. If she had, there's a good chance our ugly scene at the service desk may never have happened. Think of the times you have walked into a store with a problem and no one made eye contact with you as you waited. How did that make you feel? Not being acknowledged is a quick way to raise someone's anxiety and make them even more upset. The fact is, even though a sales rep's primary job is by definition sales, we should never back away from helping a customer, particularly when that customer is showing signs of stress or anger. When it comes to dealing with hostile customers, everyone has a stake in the outcome, and everyone must share in the responsibility. And that's true even when we are busy with other customers. Which brings us to our final point. Taking preventative action sometimes comes down to making a not-so-simple judgment call. On one hand, we don't want to offend other customers by appearing to cater to the squeaky wheel. On the other, the longer this customer's anger continues without being acknowledged, the more hostile they're likely to become. What's more, they may begin to release some of that hostility on other customers. If that happens, taking preventative action is definitely called for. And again, you have options. One is to see if your store manager or coworkers are available to help. If not, you should take a moment to acknowledge the customer yourself. You can then determine whether the situation warrants immediate attention or if it is reasonable and safe to ask the customer to wait. Before we close, let's touch on one more very important point. Working with angry customers is rarely a pleasant experience. So for your own sake, and for the sake of your next customer, take a few minutes to relax. To reduce anxiety, try using deep breaths along with positive self-talk. Breathe in through the nose for about 4 seconds, then release your breath through the mouth for another 4 seconds. Some examples of positive self-talk are, I am going to handle this customer in a calm and supportive voice. I am in control of my emotions. I am prepared to handle this customer calmly. Now let's review a few points to remember. According to experts in aggressive behavior, at stage 1, customers are emotionally anxious or upset, but haven't yet demonstrated any verbal or physical aggression. And most won't move beyond this stage unless provoked. We then talked about the importance of reading clues that reveal a person's emotional state, because if we can see what's coming, we can then prepare ourselves to deal with the situation appropriately. We also talked about the importance of remaining calm and remembering that in most cases, the customer's anger is directed at the situation or the company, not at us as individuals. We then covered a few techniques for diffusing that anger, such as allowing the customer time to vent, using empathetic statements, as well as using the customer's name and our own. All of which can help a customer see that while we personally didn't cause their problem, we are taking a personal interest in solving it. Finally, we discussed the value of taking a stress break after dealing with an upset customer and how to reduce anxiety by taking deep breaths and using positive self-talk. So far, we've talked about working with customers who are upset but not necessarily threatening. In the next part of this series, we'll show you a situation where the level of hostility has escalated to stage 2 and what to do when a customer's anger turns into verbal abuse and intimidation.
Dealing with an angry customer can be very upsetting, but so long as it's just words, there's really no danger, and we should always try to satisfy the customer's needs. However, if those words escalate into threats, then the situation could become more serious. You'll learn more about dealing with those situations in the second part of this series, but right now, I want to go over some key points about communication. To begin, always inform your manager of any situation where a customer's emotions seemed out of control, even if no direct threat was made. Keeping a record about a potentially unstable customer could prove very important. However, if there were a threat, even an implied threat, be sure to tell your manager and contact store security as well. Store security may ask you to complete an incident report, so we'll have a thorough record of what happened. Of course, if the threat seems more immediate, you may want to contact the local police department. Remember, your safety is always the most important factor to consider when dealing with a hostile customer.